This is more than just a grayscale. This is the tipping point when the minority becomes the majority.
Hello, my name is Candy McNeil. I'm Director and Chief Curator at Portland Art Museum. I was born and raised here in Oregon, so I absolutely love it here. I'm lucky to call it home. I'm also really passionate about environmental protection. That way we can keep this land beautiful for generations to come. That's why bringing together Solve and Wash to Shore, as well as Portland Art Museum, is going to prove to be an amazing opportunity. We will get to show the public about why environmental cleanup is necessary, and we're going to give them the opportunity to do something about it. I think that this is going to be an amazing partnership, and I'm so excited to meet you guys.
Hello, my name is Michael Morgan, and I am the Director of Education and Public Programs at Portland Art Museum. I have held this position for over 9 years and have transformed our education program into one that is known throughout the community as a place for people of all ages to learn about culture, environment, expression, and of course, art.
Hello, my name is Chris Torgerson. I am the Associate Director of Education and Public Programs here at the Portland Art Museum. Currently, I am responsible for ensuring the education programs here at the Portland Art Museum exceed the museum's strategic and artistic goals. I believe the key to a better future is through compassion and education of our youth.
My name is Anthony Weaver. At Portland Art Museum, I act as the Director of Operations. Here I oversee all exhibitions and exhibits at the museum. Art is a passion of mine. I love art and how it applies to many issues in our society. Things like sustainability, animal rights, or race and social justice issues. I love playing a role in helping our world be a better place through a great thing.
My name is Carter Sterling, and I am the Director of Communications here at the Portland Art Museum. Much of my work, as the title implies, is about facilitating clear channels of communication between departments and other directors, but also with the general public. Art is very much about creatively communicating a message to others, and the Portland Art Museum has always been focused on great art. With great art comes great ideas, and we offer at the Portland Art Museum a reputable platform to communicate to a wide and receptive audience.
Along with the team that you just met, we make up the backbone that is Portland Art Museum, the longest lasting and most credible museum in the Pacific Northwest. Through the powerful reputations of both Wash to Shore and Portland Art Museum, great accomplishments can be achieved. The world has gotten to a point where a change is needed in order to secure the future of life as we know it. This is why we need your help. We are asking you to donate a powerful exhibit that will influence thousands of people to become advocates to stop the pollution of our oceans. This video will not only explain the benefits that this art exhibit will create for the community and Wash to Shore, but it will also explain the requirements that we need to provide a successful exhibit to the Portland community. I would now like to let our Associate Director of Education and Public Programs, Chris Torgerson, to talk to you about the benefits that your organization will see from this exhibit.
By donating an exhibit for display, Wash Ashore will benefit from the promotion and visibility that we can provide here at the Portland Art Museum. With our combined effort, Portland Art Museum and Wash Ashore will be able to create an entirely new and larger audience. Portland has been rated by several different entities, such as the Business Insider and the Huffington Post, as the greenest city in the United States. But becoming a green city wasn't easy. The citizens here in Portland have a strong belief system in protecting our future generations and keeping a clean environment top priority. Bringing a Wash Ashore exhibit to Portland will help send a message directly to the large portion of people that take frequent trips to the nearby beaches. It is currently assessed that Wash Ashore could experience multiple benefits by donating their exhibit. Along with the increased visibility that comes from working with the Portland Art Museum, Wash Ashore's public image and relations will rise to a new height. I cannot stress the positive effects that will ensue once Wash Ashore's exhibit is presented and advertised by our well-established name. Name recognition is an even more powerful factor now than it was a century ago. Through the power and utility of social media, the Portland Art Museum can bring the attention of over 100,000 people to Wash Ashore's message. By having an exhibit at the Portland Art Museum, a virtual audience is guaranteed by name recognition alone.
I would now like to tell you about some of the benefits that this exhibit will provide to the community. At Portland Art Museum, we see over 6,500 guests per week. This allows us to reach out to a diverse audience that are willing to expand their minds. With around 1 million seabirds and over 100,000 sea mammals killed each year from oceanic pollution, don't you think that it's the responsibility of profound organizations like ourselves to empower our communities with the information and resources to end this? Don't you think that it's time to take action, to put an end to an evil that we fight so hard against? We can do this by informing citizens, paving the way for them to create greater changes that will surely sustain our future. Through this exhibit, we can create a landslide effect that will end oceanic pollution. We have already contacted and plan to collaborate with SOLVE, which stands for Stop Oregon Litter and Vandalism. SOLVE is a nonprofit organization that provides services to keep Oregon's coastlines clean. Their mission is to bring Oregonians together to improve our environment and build a legacy of stewardship. A collaboration with SOLVE will help spread our message and influence more local guests to attend due to SOLVE's reputation in our community. SOLVE will also allow for our exhibit to include a call to action. There will be an information booth run by SOLVE volunteers that will provide the information needed for our guests to get involved in hands-on support to our cause.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down and answering some of my questions about just environment and sustainability. Do you know what a cultural tipping point is, or just a tipping point in general?
I believe I do. I've used that term before. It is the number of people needed to make to get a trend off the ground, to turn something from a tipping point.
So it's something that can be applied to a lot of things. So
Right.
there's the same thing can be applied with products, how iPhones got off the ground, and as well as how other products end up falling away because of that. Same thing applies with ideas. I believe that we are at or nearing a tipping point, when you have a minority becoming a majority in terms of an idea or a product or practices. Do you believe that we are at or nearing a tipping point for green movement, sustainability, sustainable business practices?
I believe we were very near a tipping point. Yes, when gas prices were much higher, it made the entire community much more interested in these things. There was a huge, bigger interest in electric cars, bigger interest in smart houses. Now that gas prices are so low, that's kind of taken a step backwards.
So you're saying, in many ways, that cultural tipping point is pushed back for green,
sustainability and green.
because it's
Right.
not quite as hard on the wallet to drive around.
Exactly. Because, I mean, everybody has a little bit more disposable income, and suddenly they don't have to care as much. So they're buying, for one thing, they're buying big gas-guzzling cars again.
Would you consider attending an exhibit by the Portland Art Museum that is very much about raising awareness for and pushing towards that cultural tipping point for green practices,
Yes.
specifically focusing on ocean damage?
Ocean damage is a very important issue, and I would be delighted if the Portland Art Museum would tackle an issue like that.
Have you seen any imagery of coming from NASA or other satellite imagery of large trash collections in the currents of the oceans?
Yes.
Hey, it's Greg Shirer from NASA's Scientific Visualization Studio. We wanted to see if we could visualize the so-called ocean garbage patches. We start with data from floating scientific buoys that NOAA has been distributing in the oceans for the last 35 years, represented here as white dots. Let's speed up time to see where the buoys go. Since new buoys are continually released, it's hard to tell where older buoys move to. Let's clear the map and add the starting locations of all the buoys. Interesting patterns appear all over the place. Lines of buoys are due to ships and planes that released buoys periodically. If we let all the buoys go at the same time, we can observe buoy migration patterns. The number of buoys decreases because some buoys don't last as long as others. The buoys migrate to 5 known gyres, also called ocean garbage patches. We can also see this in a computational model of ocean currents called ECHO-2. We release particles evenly around the world and let the modeled currents carry the particles. The particles from the model also migrate to the garbage patches. Even though the retimed buoys and model particles did not react to currents at the same times, the fact that the data tend to accumulate in the same regions shows how robust the result is.
Tickets and admission to the Portland Art Museum are inexpensive. In order to maximize the number of visitors and thus cover costs by volume of tickets sold. This allows for the museum to have roughly 350,000 visitors annually. Membership fees and admissions result in an operating budget of nearly $14 million. Portland Art Museum can afford to advertise.
In conclusion, Portland Art Museum is confident that working with Wash to Shore will prove to be an amazing opportunity to influence the community. Portland Art Museum will provide an environment to bring forth a discussion about the need for social change when it comes to environmental protection. They will use their established position in the community to help push Wash Ashore's agenda. In addition to the facilities and advertising, Portland Art Museum will provide volunteers to staff the exhibit. Wash Ashore will benefit immensely from this partnership. Through social media, they will have a new audience of over 100,000 individuals. This will create great name recognition for Wash Ashore, in addition to increased donations. There is a high possibility and a probability of future exhibit invitations for Wash Ashore following this partnership. Wash Ashore will also create a positive public perception of their organization. Overall, these organizations have the opportunity to raise money and awareness for environmental cleanup and future protection. This large-scale production, done in a conscious city such as Portland, has a chance to make a huge impact on how seriously the public views environmental cleanup. Portland Art Museum would like to host Wash Ashore's exhibit July 3rd through July 11th, 2016. The director and chief curator of Portland Art Museum, Candy McNeil, will meet with Frank Rocco, Wash Ashore's traveling exhibit manager and marketing director, at 9 a.m. March 10th, 2016, at Wash Ashore's headquarters in Bandon, Oregon. This meeting is to discuss the finer details that surround the transportation of Wash Your Shores artwork and the duration of the exhibit.